It is time, ladies and gentlemen, finally time to actually show you a functioning game, because when enemies get introduced into the mix, it gets real, at least for me. I played several games and experienced tons of enemy types, and what I love the most about certain ones are their behaviors, like the Dragon Priest on Skyrim that were very difficult, but killing them gave you whatever mask they were wearing, and it granted some awesome benefits while equipped. Or rogue agents and hunters from the Division series. Sometimes, when fighting them, it feels as though you're playing against another human. Those experiences will always be with me, and because of that, I want to offer that same feeling to you through my game's AI combat behavior. Welcome to my 7th devlog episode, and today we'll be getting all into the enemy types of identity rebels, their behaviors and how it is in relation to you as a player. Now, I don't want to give up too much information about the enemies, so today I'll be primarily talking about the Butcher. As you can see from his appearance, why he's called the Butcher, but mainly because that's what he literally is. Here's a little lore about the Nomad faction. Most of them are cannibals. And if you happen to see the Butcher out of combat, he'll most likely be in one of the buildings chopping up some meat. And I know you've noticed that he doesn't have a weapon. Well, he's only considered a common on a tier list of enemy levels. And there will be others that have more health, damage, and most importantly, some large, sharp object made for pure destruction. You know how they got different levels of enemies, so they got the epic versions and they have elite versions. So those are the tiers that I'm talking about. And I know he walks slow, but that's just it. He's considered a heavy class enemy, but don't let him hit you because it's pretty much a wrap if he does. And it's easy to think right now that you can dodge him and get away, but just imagine you have other things going on around you, like the fast and nimble Collector, totally opposite to the Butcher, wielding an automatic weapon that constantly annoys you with his movements and mannerisms. I'm still working on his behavior tree, and actually I thought about, when I theory craft him and I conceptualized him, the Collector was more so gonna be like an enemy who was a melee enemy, and if you died, then he would take some of your gear, because no man's land, where these nomads live, is an area that's more dangerous than other areas around the map. And I'm gonna make another video that's gonna detail the maps and the areas and everything that's about. But no man's land is an area where once you go in there, you can get exclusive gear that you can't get anywhere else, right? And if you died in that area, then you would drop some of your gear. And this is where, PvP comes in the mix, because this is one of the only areas in the open world that's PvP VE. And so players could take your gear or this Collector enemy. So when you die, he'll come up to you and pick up one or two of your items. And so I've been thinking about how I wanted to do him. I haven't really figured it out. Plus I'm still learning the behavior tree, so I don't know exactly how I want it to be. But let me know down in the comments how you think it should be, or some ideas about what you think the Collector is going to be. For now, I'm just having him as a ranged enemy. Just imagine you got the Butcher, you got the Collector, totally opposite of him, in terms of speed, and you have a Grenader who, for the most part, sits back and tosses grenades, some of which have AoE damage and forces you out of comfortable positions. You know how things could get when there are multiple enemies with separate behaviors coming at you. It can provide a very nice challenge. Now, I'm not going to really go into much detail about the other NPCs. That's for another devlog, when I fully flush out and polish their behaviors. And those scenarios I told you about aren't the only possible situations you can find yourself in. I also have another enemy type called the Abominate. An enemy in a league of its own, not part of any faction, but puts fear in the hearts of all factions. They only come out at night and in certain weather conditions like nuclear storms and snow blizzards that actually impact you physically, where visibility is extremely low, making it all the more ominously hopeless. Picture this in your mind for a second. You fight the Butcher, the Collector, and a Grenader during this weather event. I myself can't wait for that experience. But anyways, I don't want to get ahead of myself. There'll be a separate video detailing all three abominate creatures, where they reside, their mannerisms, and what they do. Also, military expertise of the regime, and much more about other enemy types in the world of identity rebels. All I ask is that you like the video and subscribe to my channel. This really helps its reach on YouTube with the algorithm and all. I appreciate the support. And for more about identity rebels, here's a link to my other devlogs. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.